Hi there, I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on how to use the new in-app scoring that we've introduced in the 2.1 version of the igMember app. Slight difference from the original version in that now you can record your playing partner's score directly within the app, thus removing the need for the scorecard, the paper version. So I'm going to go ahead and check the competition. By pop-ups there, and we're going to play in the in-app scoring mixed Stableford. Now we can see from the information shown on the screen we have Ben iPhone, Andrea Android and Mike Motorola. So Ben iPhone is this phone here on the left, Andrea Android is this phone here on the right, and Mike Motorola is the phone that is off screen, as I'm only able to show you two devices, I'm afraid. So we're going to begin scoring. And initially we're presented with a screen that says, are we going to use the igMember app to record someone else's score? So if you would like to just record your own score in the same way that you did with version 1 of igMember in-app scoring, then you would select the No button, and then you'd be able to just record your own score and take scorecard photographs just as you have been doing up until this point. However, if you would like to mark someone else's scorecard, you can press the Yes button, where you'll be presented with whose scorecard will you be marking. What we've done is this competition has tee times, so we've populated the other players in your tee time because they're most likely the players that you're going to be marking for. However, if the player that you're marking for is not listed in your tee time, then you can use the search button, or if your golf club doesn't use tee times, you can use the search button to find the player that you'll be marking for. In this case, the phone on the left here, which belongs to Ben iPhone, will be marking for Andrea Android. The phone on the right here belongs to Andrea Android. She will be marking for Mike, and Mike off the screen will be marking for Ben. Okay, so next we're presented with the opportunity to set Andrea's handicap and what tee she'll be playing from. In this particular case, the ladies are only playing from the red tees, and our handicap will be 28. So I'm just going to continue. In this case, Andrea is going to score for Mike. Mike is currently off 17, which we're going to leave, and Mike is going to play from the white tees. You'll see that the gentlemen in this competition have a choice of white or yellow tees. In this case, I'm going to put Mike off the whites, and Ben will play off the yellows, so I'm going to select yellows for Ben on Mike's phone. The second screen that we have is to confirm your own handicap and the tee that you would play off yourself. So Ben is playing off 20, he's playing off the yellow tee, Andrea is playing off 28, playing off the red tee, and Mike will be playing off 17 off the white tees. So we can confirm and start scoring on all three devices. Very similar to version 1 of the in-app scoring, we're presented with the whole information at the top, and we've set the information for the pars, stroke indexes, etc. for each player, as you can see. So this phone here on the left belongs to Ben. Ben will always add his score at the bottom, and if you was to record your stats would be underneath your own score at the bottom here. And just a note that you can only record your own stats. You cannot record stats for your playing partner. So if you're going to record stats, it's for yourself and yourself only. We can see here that Andrea is playing from the red tee. The first hole is a par 4. It's 293 yards, stroke index 12. Ben is playing from the yellow tee, also a par 4, 300 yards, and off the yellow it's stroke index 1. And if we look over here on Andrew's screen, we can see that Mike is playing from the whites. It's a par 4, 337, and it's a stroke index 17. As in version 1, we've pre-populated the score with par, and as you can see that Andrea is populated with a par 4, and it's if Andrea was to get a par 4, she would have 3 Stableford points, so we've added the points in there for you as well. In this case, Ben would get 4 for 4, because it's stroke index 1, so he gets 2 shots in his hole being off 20, so he would get 4 strokes for 4 points, and Mike would get a 4 for 3 points. Just for this show, I'm going to show that you can reduce the score by selecting the down arrow, and you can increase the score by selecting the plus arrow. So I'm going to put 5s for everybody on this hole. Okay, and then we have our previous hole, next hole buttons. So I'm going to select the next hole to go to the second hole on all devices. Okay, from there we can select the card button, which shows us the scorecard, and we can see that Ben had a 5 for 3, Andrea had a 5 for 2, Andrea on her own phone had a 5 for 2, sorry, apologies about the pop-ups, and Mike also had a 5 for 2. We can just go back to the score by pressing the score button. And for the sake of speed, I'm going to populate pars for everybody up until the 9th hole, where I'm going to create a mismatch so I can demonstrate what happens when 2 people input a different score. Okay, so on the 9th hole, I'm going to mark down 2 3s for Andrea and Ben. On Andrea's phone, I'm going to mark down 2 4s for Mike and Andrea. And on Mike's phone, off screen, I'm going to mark down 2 double bogeys for Ben and Mike. And then I'm just going to carry on up until the 18th hole. Where I'm going to create another mismatch. Okay, and again I'm going to put 2 pars on the phone on the left, 2 bogeys on the phone on the right, and 2 double bogeys on the phone that is off screen. Once we're happy with our scores, we can select the finish button, where we're now presented with the check off screen so that we can check off where we are with the signing of the scorecards. As you can see on Ben's phone here on the left, we have Andrea's scorecard with her check off, so we can see that 18 scores have been entered. Ben has not yet signed Andrea's card. Andrea has not signed her card, and for Ben's scorecard here in the lower box, 18 scores are in. Your marker, which is Mike, has not yet signed the card, and you have not yet signed your card. Same here for Andrea, same information. So what I'm going to do is on the thing here, I'm going to check this button here, and then I'm going to be able to check the scores that Ben has marked for Andrea. So you can see here we're presented with 2 columns, the scores that Ben entered for Andrea and the scores that Andrea entered for herself. And what we're doing is we're just basically checking that they match so that we've recorded the same thing on both scorecards. So we can scroll all the way through to the bottom, and we can see there's a message there at the bottom that says there's a mismatch between the scores that you have entered and Andrea has marked for themselves. Please fix the error, sorry. So I'm going to go to the 9th hole here, and I'm going to fix the change. I'm going to fix the score on the 9th to match what Andrea put down for herself. So Ben in this situation has got the score wrong, but Andrea's got the score correct. So what Ben will do, Ben will click on the box here that says 3 for 4, and he will get a pop-up that allows him to use the plus and arrow, plus and minus buttons to increase and decrease the score to what it actually should be. And then once he's happy with that, he then presses the accept button to accept it and sync the score. and we can see that score has been accepted, and that matches nicely. Okay, for the 18th, I'm going to assume that Ben has got the correct score and Andrea's got the incorrect score. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over onto Andrea's scorecard. We're going to go to the 18th hole, and we're going to open up the 18th hole, and Andrea is going to change her 5 to match the 4 that Ben has, and then finish. Now what we can do on Ben's phone is we can select here where it's got the 5 for 3. It will give us a pop-up telling us that Andrea has to check her scores, which we know she's already done. Then we can refresh that by pressing the refresh button. It will now check that Andrea has updated her score, and now you can see that we don't have any reds because all of the scores match. At this point, we can then sign the scorecard as the marker by simply pressing the button, and then we're able to put our signature in the box and save it. Now you'll see that you're presented with a message that says you have signed the card for Andrea. Okay, Andrea is going to sign the card for Mike in the same way, but just for speed, I'm going to fix all of the errors on Andrea's card. So I'm going to click where it says 4, I'm going to change that to 5, and I'm going to accept it. I'm going to come down to the 18th. Again, I'm going to click where it says the 5, change it to a 6, and accept it. Now we can see that we've got all white scores, so there are no mismatches. So I can then sign the scorecard just like I did with, and save it. I'm going to do the same thing on Mike's scorecard, Mike's phone, sorry, for Ben, and fix his scores as well. Just signing that off. Okay, so now that we see that we can refresh here on Ben's phone, and we can see that we've signed the scorecard for Andrea, and we can see that Mike has signed our scorecard. And over here on Andrea's phone, we can see that Andrea has signed Mike's scorecard, and Ben has signed Andrea's scorecard. So what we can now do is we can now check and sign the scores for Andrea on Ben's phone here on the left. And I'm just going to check the scores. If I'm happy and it's all correct, I can sign the card as the player by pressing the button, and then I can put my signature on it, and once I'm happy I can save it. I get a message to say that my card has been signed and finalized. Okie dokie. I can do the same thing on Mike's. So I'm going to check and sign as a player. I'm going to check. If I have any problems with that, I can request changes, and you go through a similar process to what we did when we had the mismatch before, but I'm happy with the scores. So I'm going to come on there, I'm going to sign it and save it. Card was signed and finalized. We can see that's that. I'm going to do the same thing on Mike's. Now I know that all 3 phones have been signed off, so what I can do now is I can check each of the devices, and once I've checked and refreshed, here we go, we can see now that we've completed everything we need to complete. 18 scores have been entered. Ben has signed Andrea's scorecard. Andrea has signed her own scorecard. Of your own scorecard, you can see that 18 scores have been entered. Mike has signed it and Ben has also signed it. Same thing over here for Andrea, that all of the work around Mike's scorecard has been completed, all the work around Andrea's scorecard has been completed. I can now exit scoring on both devices by pressing the exit scoring button, and I'm then taken back now to the page that allows us to upload a scorecard photograph in the same way that we did for version 1 of the in-app scoring. I'll do it on one phone, there's no need to do it on both, but it's a simple process. We're going to press the buttons. We're going to press the button again to open the scorecard. I'm just going to take a photograph of the phone here just so you can see it happening. Okay, and then I'm going to upload whoever scorecard that is. In this case it was Mike, so I'm going to select Mike's name, and then I can upload a scorecard for Mike, or myself, or whoever else in my group needs a scorecard uploading. And that is in-app scoring version 2.1. Hope you enjoy using it. Thanks very much.